Good evening, folks, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 1 for tonight's dose of racing action. My name is Sumo, and I shall be your commentator, bringing you all of the action on track, the only way that I know how, with the most enthusiasm and excitement that I can muster up. Tonight, we take to the Colosseum of Speed. The Autodromo Nazionale di Monza is a 11-corner, 5.793 kilometre circuit that is a perfect place to showcase the sheer speed of these Formula 1 machines. Broken up by 3 chicanes and a parabolica which will see out the lap, this circuit will provide a close qualifying, DRS trains, and plenty of chances for great wheel-to-wheel action. A special place is the Monza circuit to Tier 2, and for me and both the series both debuted here, and so it's always great to be back for some racing. And I must say, it's been a little while since I've been in the comments box at APPF1, so it's also nice to be back behind the cameras, on the mic and everything, rather than behind the wheel out on the track as well. If you don't know, I'm currently participating this season in the Tier 2, as I'm getting used to my racing wheel, which is going well, although I could have had a better first race. Hello Ghost in the chat. I shall try and enjoy the race as much as I can. I'm sure you'll go out there and enjoy the track, because I know you missed out on that first round. And hello Palang in the chat as well. Peace to you, my friend. Winner of Tier 2 actually on Tuesday, so congratulations for that. I think I'm yet to say anything, but let's take a quick look over the standings before we get too deep into the qualifying session. Then it's Lifebout, who won the first race of the season, leads the way on 20 points ahead of Wisburn on 16, who was one of the reserve drivers. Then ET8 Chris in the sister Mercedes on 14. Then we have Speed Alcoholic on 12, Lawrence 11, Yasko Kiri on 10, then there's Darth Nihilus on 9, there's LB on 8, there's Rick on 7, Red Flame Joe on 7 as well, then there's Finley on 5 points, and we've got RJ Blair, Palang, Robbie Pfeiffer, Banter Brandon, Jackalacko, Ghost, and MX in the Alpha Tauri, rounding off how many drivers have we got? 19 drivers so far. And they'll take a quick glance over the championship standings. Mercedes lead the way on 34 points, they're 10 points ahead of the Red Bull outfit on 24 points. Then you have Ferrari on 20 points, with Alfa Romeo trailing behind on 12. Then rounding off the top 5 is the Alpine team, with Aston Martin in P6, tied with Williams in P7, both on 7 points. Then you have Alpha Tauri, McLaren and Haas rounding off the grid. So that's how the championship shakes up as we go into this second round. And as we go, let's go on board with Rick for a lap around this fantastic circuit, braking as late as you possibly dare to carry as much speed as possible, but enough rotation to get yourself through the first of 3 chicanes on this circuit. Then back on full throttle once again through the Curva Grande. Now turn number 3 of the corner, using a little bit of curb does Rick, staying as tight to the inside as possible to shorten the distance. Then braking just after the 100-metre board, getting on the curbs a little bit, maybe a little bit scrappy through the Della Rogia chicane, navigates it through. Now we've got the Lesmos, the first of 2 cambered corners. He navigates one, getting past some slow traffic well. Here's Lesmo 2 getting through as well, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Now into the first of 2 DRS zones around this circuit. He'll use the slipstream he can get off of this Haas that's ahead of him, just dipping out away late, and then into a Sky we go, braking around the 50 board, cutting as much of that curb as possible, and being as committed through those 2 other parts of the corner as well. Little shaky from Rick, but he's going to continue down on the run towards Parabolica, threading his way through the traffic for one final corner, braking just after the 50 board. Oh, and he spins, he's put a wheel on the grass, and he's gone all the way around on his opening lap. What a shame for the Dutchman on his first lap of the session. Darth Nihilus is going to come around to complete his out lap, but who is going to come around to complete the first lap of the session? I'm trying to find somebody out there. There it is. Rick completes his lap after his spin. I think there's a Haas, perhaps. No, I think we've got a Mercedes, though, about to finish a lap. Here's ETA Chris starting a lap. Actually, how about Lifebout? He's on a lap out there as well. What a shame for Rick. Hello, Jack in the chat. Sue to you too, my friend. as we're out there. What else? Rick leading the way. That's not a representative time for him. I think we got Finley coming round next. No, not quite. It's MX on an outlap now. It's Ghost out on track as well. He'll finish off the lap for us, and through the parabolica we go, and then all the way down to the line. What's Ghost going to set? The initial pace is a 19.705 from my commentary partner. And Red Flame Joe puts himself in P4. Lawrence has also put himself up there in the 1 minute 20.3 club. So there we go. Then we got JBS Steve, the 1 minute 21.0. Not a bad time for the Tier 2 driver. Reserving tonight, it seems, in the Haas cars. As we go through, here's Lifebout, current championship leader. What can he do in that Mercedes as he comes through? Better than me, I hope. Yes, a 19.683 for the Mercedes outfit. Then Jasko Kirill comes through for a 19.73. First time I've had the pleasure of commentating on the Alpine driver, so welcome. And there's Robbie Pfeiffer putting it in the top spot for the time being on a 1 minute 19.547. Where did you bang it, Rick? Where did you bang it, Jack? Says Palang. At the end of the second chicane. Very easily done around there. If you run a little bit too wide, you're met with that gravel trap, and it is a nasty one. Well, Max comes across the line. Excuse me. Comes across the line. Not too shy of a decent lap in a qualifying session. MX gets himself in the minute 19.7. A bit late to the party. He missed the first round of the season, but it's nice to see him back out on the circuit where he belongs, fighting amongst these Tier 1 drivers. We've got a few drivers who've yet to go on laps. We've got Finley and Banter. Brandon, known for perhaps some late qualifying appearances. ET8 Chris hasn't ventured out onto the circuit as well, but we've got 4 people in the chat so far. Hello, come say hello, folks. It's always nice to have a little bit of interaction, especially when it's just me in the box as well. So ask questions, start up some conversations. It'll be nice to hear from you, especially you, Jackalacko. Looks like you've got another 12 minutes or so of free time on your hands. So do come and say hello. We'll max out there. So first runs of qualifying done. It's shaken up. It's Robbie in the Alfa Romeo currently leading the way by a 10th from a Lifebout. Then there's Ghost who rounds off your top 3. We've got Jasko Kirill, MX, Darth, Womax, Lawrence, Red Flame Joe, Alex G. I'm just going to call him Alex G, to be honest. JPS Steve, Rick, and then there's ET8 Chris, Finley, Banter. Who've not set laps at Jackalacko out of the session, so he'll be starting at the back of the grid. Unless nobody else manages to set a lap as we go. Is MX on another lap? No, he's coming into the pit lane. There he goes. As he comes around. I think Red Flame Joe is out on the circuit. I think he was going to go for a lap, but he's invalidated, so he'll go round again. How about Alex G? He's on a lap. He's a 10th up on his previous so far, so can he get himself any further? Tier 1 driver, of course. Well, no, Tier 2 driver, of course, sorry. Getting himself a reserve seat for Tier 1. I don't know if he's on a preparation lap, in all honesty. He's doing a few bits of weaving, but he's using the RS, and he's got the DRS. Let's see where his time is as he comes down to the sector line now, coming underneath the old banking of the circuit. He's 6/10 up on his previous best. That could see him into the 1 minute 19s toward the sharp end of this session. This could be a decent lap from the Haas. He's got one more corner now to navigate. The Parabolica, got to get this one absolutely perfect. Got to carry as much speed as you can at the exit of this corner, because it's vital. It's such a long and important run down towards the line and into towards the first corner during a race. Let's see where the Haas can place himself. He's going to be moving up, as he know. He's actually starting on and out. He didn't move up at all. Actually, he improved his time, not his position. He's 1,000th of a second off of the time set by Womax in the McLarens. Not a bad attempt at all, but I'm sure he's got something more in there. Red Flame Joe, one half of the Williams outfit, the other half by Ghost, of course. He's on an outlap. Let's see where Red Flame Joe can get himself. I think one of the only Americans in APPF1, RJ being another one. Let's know where Red Flame Joe's from, actually, if he is indeed American. I'm gonna have to double check my facts, but I know RJ's from Philadelphia, due to his support of American football team. But anyway, Red Flame Joe improves his time by a few hundredths of a second. Doesn't improve his position out on the track. So let's see who else is out on a lap as of present. Nobody, lots of outlaps being done. A fair bit of traffic actually out there on the circuit. Finley has ventured out. ET8 Chris has also ventured out on track as well. I think Daft's going to be the first of this group starting their second runs of this session. So let's follow along with the Ferrari coming into turn number 1. How's he going to go through there? A little bit deep, I think, in that first part. Had to try and recover the second part of the corner, but he's off on his way once more. Through the Curva Grande we go. Flat out all the way through this long right hand corner. It's not really a corner in these cars, in all honesty. It's just a quick little input on the wheel to the right rather than an actual dedicated corner like most of the other corners on this circuit. Like these two here, the Lesmos, as the Ferrari navigates through. Didn't quite see his sector time as he passed the sector 1 line, so we'll keep a glancing eye on the sector 2 line once he comes down to it. It's just before the braking zone for the Ascari chicane. Let's see where Daft Hillis goes. He's 2/10 down, actually, is the Ferrari. Not up on his previous, so maybe he can get some time back in this final sector, use the slipstream from the cars ahead to maybe pull himself through, use the traffic to his advantage as he's on a lap. Some great displays of getting out of the way for some qualifying laps there, so everybody looking very, very vigilant on laps. Let's see, where can Daft place himself? 1 minute 19.804. Doesn't improve his position again, improves the lap time slightly though. How about Ghost? 2/10 up is Ghost, puts him on provisional pole. That's a 19.3 from the British driver. Not a bad go around this circuit. Womack invalidates his lap time, so he will not be setting one here. MX, he's going to go around and set one. Only one Aston Martin left, and it's Rick. He's managed to navigate Parabolica this time and come out in a straight line. Where can he put himself? It's a provisional pole for the Dutchman. There's some redemption for you. That's a 1 minute 19.0. But Robbie Pfeiffer beats it very, very quickly with a 1 minute 19.0 of his own. Then Finley into the 1 minute 18s. A 1 minute 18.665 from Finley in the Alpha Tower. He sees some very quick laps in quick succession of each other, with Finley throwing down the gauntlet 4/10 ahead of his rivals in P2 and 3. What an exciting turn of events in the middle part of this qualifying session, and we still got about 5 minutes, about 7 minutes actually to go as I'm looking at my clock as ET8 Chris goes for a spin on his lap. Not the way he would have wanted to start his first run of this qualifying session. I think a trip to the pits is in order, although I think he'll have some fresh tyres to play with during the race, and there very well might be a safety car around here, so don't hold your breath, folks, because it could happen. Here comes Yasko Kirill. Where can he place himself? Doesn't manage to improve, only down by 8 thousandths of a second, stays P6 for the time being. Who else is out on the circuit right now? I think MX is about to finish a lap. Yes, he is. The German very quick on his day. What can he do? Looks like a decent lap. It's a 1 minute 19.3, 4/10 improvement from him. I think that puts him just ahead of Ghost. It seems Ghost was very quickly mugged of his provisional pole, wasn't he? He had Rick come in, then Lifebound snuck up there and as well, actually. He split both Robbie and Rick on his lap. I didn't quite see him go, but I've just spotted him now. 1 minute 19.075, very close between those three. We'll take a little look at the gaps, actually, while we've got a moment to pace ourselves. Is it only going to show me some details, I think? Let's see. Yeah, gap to leader, but you can see it's not going to show me any interval gaps. Annoyingly, but you can see it's about just about 4/10 or so between Finley and Pfeiffer, and then it's, well, let's say 300ths of a second between Lifebound and Robbie, and a 100th of a second between Rick and Lifebound. So, you know, just the smallest portion of a blink of an eye, really, as far as the time goes between these cars. It's insane how much the gaps go along. 7 people in the chat now. If you're new here, of course, please do make sure you've left a like, and of course you've subscribed as well. All of the support does go a very long way. I appreciate all of you who come in and watch these streams, whether it be live as the action is happening or after the fact when you're done with the racing. I know most of you are probably just from APPF1, and that's fine by me, but of course if you fancy sharing my content around as well, that would be very much appreciated. I do commentary here for APPF1. I do a little bit of paid stuff on the side as well, with some GT3 cars and some Formula 3, and I did some what are they, Radical SR10s for the first time this Sunday just gone, which was a lot of fun. It was 4 races in a row, World Championships, of course. You had AMs and pros all battling it out, well, in their respective classes at least. And I think the first pro race of that evening in particular was one of the best races I've ever commentated on in my 2-year career, I suppose, or 2 years of doing this hobby, if you want to call it that. So definitely go check that out if you can. That's over on the JP Broadcasting channel. So go check those guys out. There's plenty of more racing action from those guys if you enjoy iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and many, many more as well. Right, we'll get back onto this session because I think we're about to start seeing the cars come out for their final blasts around this top speed circuit. This circuit, of course, has the highest top speed of all circuits, or average top speed of all circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. And it's absolutely sensational. The only other circuit that comes close is the Jeddah Corniche circuit, which is slower, of course, but it's the fastest street circuit with the highest average speed over one lap, or over the time that you go around, however you want to word it or so. Anyway, here we go. Last parts of qualifying now. Let us see what can happen. Who's going to throw down the gauntlet? Who's going to put themselves forwards for pole position? Would it be JBS Steve, the reserve driver in Tier 2, of course? Not a slouch, and behind... Oh, a bit of a voice crack there. Not a slouch behind the wheel of a Formula 1 car at all. Can he get it a little bit deep there in turn 2? That's going to compromise his run, I think. Not the best exit he would have got. I think he might back out of that one, in all honesty. And he's got the time to go again, although he doesn't look like he's backed out, actually. Let's see as he crosses the line. Yeah, he's 700ths of a second down, and I think he might have backed out just there. I think that's the sensible option, JB, as I don't think you've quite managed to put the lap together you would have wanted to. Here comes Darth navigating his way through. Let's see what Darth Nihilus can do. A Tier 2 champion, of course, and one of the luckiest drivers I've ever seen on a racetrack, in all honesty. One of the luckiest tracks he's ever been on is this one, where a safety car came out so perfectly and sealed him a race win. Can he improve that 1 minute 19.8? Can he trouble the top 5 perhaps in that Scarlet car, the prancing horse of the Scuderia Ferrari? Let's see what he can do as he goes through. We've got the, I think that's the Charles Leclerc or the Carlos Sainz tribute helmet, which I really like, actually. It's a really cool helmet on that car. So here he comes down through sector 2 now. Oh, he's 1,000th of a second down on his previous. He's really got to go. It's squeaky bum time now for Darth Nihilus. He's only got one more corner to navigate. Can he gain some more time here? It can be so difficult to gain time, as the best places to do it, of course, are the corners of this track, and they're not easy to gain time around. And I think he might feel that Mercedes has blocked him on his lap, and that could be in the steward's room a little later, especially if he doesn't improve and he loses out 2/10. I think which Mercedes is that in the way. That's Lifebout. He could be seeing himself with a time penalty after this race for some qualifying blocking, perhaps, because that was close, I think, and Darth was on a lap, so he was entitled to the space on that one. We'll keep an eye on that, I think, and we'll see if Darth does report it when we get a chance to overlook the action of the paddock as we go. But let's see then. I think everybody sort of coming through. I think the Alpine of Jasko Kirill's about to finish a lap. Yes, he is. What can he do? The McLaren of Womack's just finishing a lap as well. And Jasko Kirill, 3/10 up on his previous. Doesn't manage to improves ahead of Ghost, who is out on the circuit. Here he comes now to finish his lap. He's not up by much, in all honesty, and it's only a 19.3 from Ghost. Not his best efforts out there on the circuit. Who else has got it in them to improve? The checkered flag is now waving. Finley's out. He's up by a slim margin. Is he up by any more? No, he's actually down by 9,000ths of a second on his current run. Who else is out on the circuit? Let's see. Lifebout is 3/10 up, so this could be a challenge for pole position. He's got one more corner. He navigates it relatively well, looks very quick. Coming down to the line is a 19.642. Only by 200ths of a second does Lifebound snatch it away. Can Finley do anything? No, he's invalidated. How about the sister Ferrari? Can Lawrence do anything to improve his position? Coming across the line now is P10 for the other Ferrari, and the Alfa Romeo of Robbie comes across the line, unable to improve his lap time. And I think this could be it. No, Rick, he's out on the circuit as well. What's he got in him? Has he got any more time behind the wheel of that Aston Martin? And looks like Alex G improves. Rick goes up into P3 with an 18.8. Not a bad go from him. How about Banter Brandon? He's done for the session, I think. A 19.2 is the best he can do in that Alpine for P6. I think Jasko Kirill is retiring from the session. Womack is out, and that is it. That is your qualifying session. It's your championship leader on pole position then for this race. However, there may be the stewards looming over him a bit later after the race has concluded. But for now, it's celebrations for Mercedes. What a close qualifying session that was. Lots of great times coming in, lots of great laps from drivers. Only 200s there, and Finley has got himself a 5-place grid penalty for blocking in qualifying. So Lifebound, the game hasn't considered it, but there might be an argument there for Daphne Hillis. But anyway, it's pole position for the Dutchman with Finley, who we won't be lining up alongside. It'll be an all-Dutch front row as Rick will take P2. Then ET8 Chris will line up on P3 with Robbie P4. Then Banter Brandon will be P5. Then Finley will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be P7. Then MX will be in P6 then, of course. Ghost, then there's Jasko Kirill, then Lawrence rounding off your top 10, then there's Darth, Alex G, Womax, JBS Steve, Red Flame Joe, and Jackalacko, who didn't finish the session, rounding off your grid. Gosh, it's been so long since I've been in a commentary booth on my own. It really takes a toll on the old voice. Let's see, let's take a quick glance over the Tier 1 Discord chat, or the paddock as Ghost and I have been calling it, just to see. Saying some rapid times there, it's Robbie Pfeiffer. Finley said he let somebody by and he got a grid penalty for it. Oh dear. At the best go. Ghost is typing, it's never good. Even if it was easy. Oh dear. Not too much drama, but it looks fairly dry out there on the circuit, which I'm sure the drivers will be happy about. We had some rain, of course, in the French Grand Prix, which was the first round of Tier number 2, because EA broke the game. Or at least they decided to break the game. But anyway, let's take a glance over the strategy then as we go on to the formation lap for this race. Lifebound is going to be starting on the mediums, along with the majority of the grid as well. His teammate joining him too. Rick being the hard meat of this sandwich. A sandwich between 2 Mercedes and 2 medium runners as well. Then Robbie in the Alfa Romeo opting for the yellow walled tyre along with Banter Brandon in P5. MX P6 on the hards along with Finley. So joint strategies for Alpha Tauri, it seems. Only 5 hard runners out there, of course. Ghost on the medium compound tyre with Jasko Kirill on the mediums, with Lawrence rounding off your top 10 on the medium compound as well, and his Ferrari compatriot joining him on the same strategy. Then there's Alex G on the hards, Womax and JBS Steve, a pair of medium runners. Then there's Red Flame Joe on the hard compound tyres, Jackalacko on the medium. So it looks like the mediums are the preferred tyre. It's a medium hard stop if you're starting on the medium hards, or a soft medium, or perhaps a hard medium strategy as well. But I've got an inkling feeling that we might be seeing a safety car here tonight, as we've seen a safety car at a lot of these races around Monza. I'd love to have a stats person next to me, but unfortunately I don't. So if any stats people are in the chat, I would love to go and see how often we have safety cars here at Monza and APPF1. That would be great. If not, then we'll live to ponder that question, I suppose. Maybe I'll put it in the chat, and next time I'm here for Tier 1, we'll talk about some stats of safety cars at circuits. That might be one for Rick, actually. He loves doing a large list of stats like that. Anyway, bit of a gap between Banter Brand and MX here. MX does love leaving a bit of too much space behind the safety car, doesn't he? Look how much space he's got there as they're all slowing down, getting ready to take their slots on the grid. Hoping that all of the camera bugs are fixed for this evening's session, because I hate having to try and commentate from this camera angle on the start of a race. It just doesn't work. It's just not feasible. It's not fun for anybody, especially little old me in the commentary booth. Right, come on. Some errors on the timing board. What is happening here? We've got red lights. 5 red lights, starting from the perspective of Lifebout, and we're underway and racing. It's a great getaway from the Mercedes of Lifebout as we go all the way down to turn 1, and the Aston Martin of Rick getting swallowed up by the other Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. They're all going down into the first corner now. Is it going to be clean? Is there going to be any contact? There's a car off the circuit that looked like a Haas in the background of the track as well. Look, a few bits of jostling for position at the moment. Red Flame Joe's down a place with a yellow flag being waved. It was a Haas. It was Alex G who's at the back of this grid, and a little bit of fighting between Red Flame Joe and Womax. How about back toward the top of the grid though? Let's see what they're up to as they're all fighting. There's a few errors with the timing tower, I think, but it's a Mercedes 1-2 as they lead the way, and I don't think ET8 Chris is going to let this one go. I think they're going to be fighting this one in Mercedes. No team orders, but we'll be yet to see. But it looks like Rick's dropped back a little bit. He'll be wanting to try and go through, but he's on the longer strategy. He's got to play the long game here, but he's going to get swallowed up quickly by these medium runners. Robbie Pfeiffer looking to the inside of Ascari. Not doing on this occasion, but I'm sure he might have another run as they exit the complex of 3 corners. Here comes the Alfa Romeo now, tucks into the draft of the Aston Martin. Can he pull himself toward the inside? Takes a little look at the Parabolica, thinks second about it, and then he tucks in behind. He's going to perhaps have a go as they go. He's drawn alongside now the Aston Martin, the two of them going side by side as they come across the line, and it's up to P3 for Robbie Pfeiffer on those medium tires. Rick's going to tuck back in, come back at him to the outside. He goes side by side. They go in towards the first corner. A little bit of wheel banging perhaps, but they keep it nice and clean. Robbie Pfeiffer representing the number 97. That's my racing number out there, Robbie Pfeiffer. So represent, get yourself on the podium for all of those of us who use number 97 as their racing number. But anyway, I'm just waiting for these glitches on the timing board to resettle themselves so I can actually talk you through properly what's going on out on the circuit. But for now, it's this fight we're watching. Robbie Pfeiffer and Rick. We're keeping an eye on the 2 Mercedes as well. I think they're going to come to blows perhaps, or maybe they're planning on working together. Who knows? I don't even know if they're in a group chat with one another. Oh, Rick's got off the circuit. He's gone off a bit further back, gone a bit too wide at Lesmo 2, and he's managed to rejoin safely, although onto the racing line perhaps. But he's lost a load of positions. He's all the way down to P10 now behind the 2 Ferraris. What a hectic start, and we've got another 25 laps of this as we're about to complete lap number 2 of this 27 lap race going along. And these errors on the timing tower are very, very annoying. EA seem to love breaking their games at the moment. Daphne Hillis gets himself up in place as Lawrence had a moment perhaps, but he's fighting with Rick, who gets himself back stuck into this action in the top 10, and he's going to be sandwiched between the 2 Ferraris. What's going to go on here? Where's Lawrence going to go? Daft's going to defend this all the way. Rick's got to try and go the long way around. He looks to the outside on the exit. No doing there as he goes through, so he's going to sit behind Daphne Hillis' Ferrari, and he's going to be waiting for his chance to strike. They're pulling out a gap, though. Our Mercedes is 1.7 seconds or so between the 2 Mercedes cars, and they've got themselves a lovely little position in this race as we are in the early stages. What else is going on down here? Ghost involved in this fight as well. The DRS trains that I promised you during qualifying, they're forming all above the Robbie Pfeiffer train, it seems, although it's slowly becoming the MX train as ET8 Chris takes the lead. We didn't quite see the move, but I said he wasn't going to be just content to sit behind Lifebout. I think these two might be fighting fiercely over a championship, and Darth is out. Darth has crashed at the Ascari, and there's his safety car. I said it was going to happen, folks. I knew it. I have a sense for these things. I know when these safety cars are coming. Well, not exactly when. Alex G will be happy there's a safety car, as he's had some incidents that have seen him all the way down the back of the grid. I think he's already come in for a pit stop, and he must have had damage on the opening lap. I don't think anybody's coming in, though. The medium runners are coming in, actually. Ghost, I think, might have sparked that trend, or maybe Banter Brandon sparked it. Yeah, onto the hard tyres. Sensible from the medium runners, I think. I don't think the likes of ETA Chris, Lifebout, Robbie, Yasko, Kirill, Womax and Jack Alako were quite thinking that far ahead perhaps, but they're going to be much more out of sync with the others now. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But we're going to slow things down now for a safety car, wait for everybody to get back on the grid, and you know what, I'll take a leaf out of Ghost's book while we're here. Let's take a little look at some helmets while we're going through. Here's Lifebout, just with the neon pink. It's a bit bland in all honesty. There's not really any designs on it as well, Lifebout. I like pink, so it's a 5. There you go. Average. Bang on average. What's this from that's ETA Chris helmet actually. Here's Lifebout's helmet. Has he gone all black? Oh, come on, Lifebout. I'm giving that a 2. Just out of principle. Really. I'll put a bit more effort into it than that. Oh, hello, MX. I like that. There's a lovely little pattern on the top. It's yellow. Oh, no, this is Robbie Pfeiffer, sorry. Getting all my names mixed up. I was looking at MX, but thinking about... I was looking at Robbie Pfeiffer, but thinking about MX for some reason. Probably because MX is normally in an Alfa Romeo. But I like that helmet on Robbie Pfeiffer. Very much. I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. That's something I would put on for my lid, I think. How about Finley? Oh, a little bit of like cheetah spots. Okay, I'm not a big fan of cheetah spots, but it's much more exciting than Lifebout's helmet. So I'll give it a solid 7. How about MX? I think that's his standard helmet design. Well, let's see red with a bit of white on there too. I'll give it a 6. Yasko Kirill, oh, some like zebra type thing, black and white, very minimal. I'll give that a 7 as well, simple and effective. How about Red Flame Joe? I think that's one of the bog standard helmets. I'll give it a 5. How about Womax? That's his standard helmet design, I think there, but it's nice actually. I like Womax's helmet design. I'm gonna give that an 8. How about Jackalacco? Orange on there. It's like a Bart's. I don't know what that is. I can't see it. I need a better camera angle. There we go. Give that a 6, I think, for Jacket. How about Banter Brandon? Oh, I like that one. That one's very nice. Bit of yellow, bit of purple in there as well. I'll give that a 9. How about Ghost? Ghost, you better not disappoint me here, my friend, because you are the helmet review king. I think that's Ghost's normal colours of that deep red, that yellow and black. I quite like that, Ghost. That's a solid 9. Lawrence, boring, 5. Rick, same as Jackalacco, so I'll give it whatever I gave Jacko's helmet. JBS Steve, oh, I like that one. That's not too bad. That's a 6. And then Alex G with a yellow lid. But we're getting back underway and racing. The safety car is going to be coming in, but my Lander has run off. Well, I say run off. He's driven off in that Mercedes safety car, and it's ET8 Chris then controlling the pace. He can restart this race from the moment the safety car pulls into the pit lane to the line. When's he going to go? He's actually not dropped the safety car that much, so I think he's going to plan to go as late as he possibly can. Try and catch Lifebout sleeping, perhaps, and there he goes. He's gone. We're back under green flag conditions as they all cross the line, and it's the 2 Alpha Tauris on the attack of the lone Alfa Romeo. They're side by side going down to turn 1. The Mercedes and Lifebout looking to draw to the inside as well. This could be carnage as they go in towards the first couple of corners. MX sticking his nose in. There's contact between Lifebout and MX. Robbie Pfeiffer, I'm sorry. No love lost between those two there. MX and Finley, meanwhile, they're fighting fighting with one another, but Finley going to stay ahead. They're still side by side, Robbie Pfeiffer and Lifebout, as they're going in towards the De La Roggia chicane, but Lifebout just draws out ahead. Robbie Pfeiffer backs off and stays behind. What's happened to Ghost? I think he's got involved in some fighting. Has he got any damage on that Williams car? Perhaps not. It's just getting those hard tyres up to temperature, not as easy as it looks on the Williams. That's a better look at Ghost's helmet, yeah. You know what, I'll pop that up to a 10, in all honesty, Ghost. There you go. Anyway, back to the racing. Womack and Red Flame Joe, they're going for a little bit of a battle. Banter Brandon as well, fighting with the two Aston Martins of Jackalacco and Rick. They're all close together and getting stuck in on this race. Can Banter get himself ahead? He's pushing Jackalacco the Scotsman along in that Aston Martin. There they go on the helicopter shot down towards Parabolica now. The Alpine takes a look to the inside, thinks better of it for this time being, but I'm sure he's going to go on the attack. Looks to the outside, look how much closer he draws. I think he's so much earlier on the power there on those hard compound tyres, and he's going to draw along, but here comes Rick as well. Could it be free wide in towards the first corner? No, Rick's going to try and maybe act as a rear gunner for Jackalacco and fight with Banter Brandon and compromise the run on the two. Banter runs a little bit wide, a little bit of wheel banging between the Dutchman and Banter in the Alpine. They're going to draw side by side. Great job to defend Jackalacco from the attack from Banter Brandon, and as a result, Rick gets himself a place. Banter looks to the inside, doesn't go for it on that one. Lovely bit of racing on this opening. Here's Red Flame Joe and Womack again. The two Aston Martins, they ferry their way around. Red Flame Joe looks all out of shape. He's shipping positions left, right and centre. They're all so close together in this gap. Red Flame Joe down now behind Lawrence and Ghost, as he's just got himself all out of sorts and down in this. It's going to be some incredible close racing. Red Flame Joe to the inside of the Ferrari, breaks a little bit earlier, backs out of that move, thinks better of that one. It's all aboard the Womack train, it seems, here, and Rick now heads this train as he gets past Womack for P number 7 as we continue on with this race. But this could be I think a Mercedes, Alfa Romeo and Alpha Tauri fight, I think. With Robbie Pfeiffer being the only Alfa Romeo on circuit. Womack trying to go as defensive as he possibly can, or break some tow perhaps, but the two Aston Martins working very well to tow each other along the track. Then Rick pulls onto the line, defends Womack, blocks him from going anywhere, and he seals the move up for Jackalacco. Some great teamwork from Aston Martin going forward. Gosh, excuse me. Here we go then. Back to Brandon round the outside of Curva Grande. Another position shipped for Womack. Struggling a little bit on those 7-lap-old mediums, just for some pace perhaps. But let's see, Ghost making some moves. Womack has had an off, I think. It's going to slow him down. He's just going to draw alongside, get the others through. That's sensible, Womack. He might even retire. Robbie Pfeiffer, meanwhile, he's been robbed by the two Alpha Tauris. I'm not sure exactly what happened. We were focusing too far back. There's so much action going on. It's hard to try and catch it all. But we'll follow along with the leaders then for a little while as Robbie Pfeiffer has gone down. Maybe a mistake because he's dropped 2 positions in quite quick succession, actually. But Jackalacco and Ghost fighting their way through. There's a lot of history with these guys. They love a little scrap out on the track, these two. And I'm sure they're having a lot of fun out there on the grid tonight. Let's see, Lifebout's on the attack once more. Draws level with his teammate. Gets the position done. I don't think they're going to fight too aggressively with one another, but they're not going to be too shy about overtaking each other. But I'm not sure the same can be said about Alpha Tauri, to be honest. And here comes Robbie Pfeiffer looking to come back at Finley 2006, gets himself up the inside, slips along into the lead. Will Finley come back at him? He's thinking about it, all in the mirrors. Robbie will be aware of that move, and Rick's now caught onto the back of this. Rick's got some pace on those mediums, and now he's on this fight. There's so much going on this racing circuit. It's absolutely thrilling to watch. And Rick back in this fight. Jasko Kirill now joins it too. There's a big train all the way from MX, it seems, and Rick ahead of Finley now out of the exit of the Lesmo 2, and they're continuing this brawl between one another. Robbie Pfeiffer looking very quick out on the circuit, and he's going to be making sure that MX is constantly looking in those mirrors, and MX Probably the one driver who is not going to be benefiting at all is actually the one driver who's not benefiting at all from this DRS train, because he's heading it. He is giving the draft to all the other cars and is actually almost 4 seconds behind the leaders. And look, he's trying to break the toe there. He's already made 2 moves. Don't make any more, MX, because weaving is not on, but he gets the move done, does Robbie. Fairly simple with the DRS. Gets himself back into P3 after a possible mistake from the Alfa Romeo driver. Then we got Rick fighting with the 2 Alpha Tauris. He's managed to split them at the moment. Ghost to split the 2 Alpines as well. His teammate now way down the order. Womack's decided to come into the pits then and just put on some fresh tyres. But here's Jasko Kirill trying to make a move, or Ghost trying to break out of that sandwich actually. And who's off? Finley's gone off. He was just cutting his way off the Della Roggia. I'm not sure what happened there, but he's joined onto this fight behind Ghost. Somebody's out. Lifeboat is out of the section. He's crashed. It's another safety car. He's given it too much, I think, at the exit of Lesmo 2. And tonight we've got a second safety car. Our championship leader has bottled it. My. Is this the lifeboat of old returning to his crashy ways? Meeting with Barrier. Oh no. He'll be kicking himself for that. He's going to get so much flack in the chat later, I think, for that one. That's another safety car then. And, well, ET8 Chris is without his teammate now, so this opens up the race between the teams, it seems. But it looks like everybody diving into the pits. And what this is going to do is those drivers who came in for hards on the first safety car, well, they have the option now to go back onto a set of mediums. The pit lane is so busy with everybody in. Womack is still making his way around, but a few people are going to lose time. The 2 Hasses getting held up there. I think that's JB getting the short end of the stick on that occasion, with Red Flame Joe, same for Williams, but it looks like the pit lane is just emptying now. But yeah, those that started on those mediums went onto the hards under that first safety car. They're going to now be able to go back onto that set of mediums and go again. I think MX started on the hards, so he's back onto a set of mediums, although Finley way down where he would want to be. Ghost is back in contention for this race. Keep an eye on Banter Brandon as well, because he is handy behind the wheel of these Formula 1 cars. That is Rick as well. I can't count any of these out, but it looks like ET8 Chris and Robbie Pfeiffer, especially if another safety car is not due during this race, are going to be in a little bit on a short end of it, I suppose, as they're on the hard compounded tyre with 6 medium runners behind them. They should have come in really on that under that first safety car. And if I go look back actually, because I want to double check this, but I'm pretty sure they had the chance to come in. Let's take a look. Here's the first safety car. This is, I think, just before it ends. Here we go. Alright, let's skip forward a little bit. Here we go. When did the safety car become deployed? Yeah, there you go. Safety car was deployed before the Parabolica, so they all had the chance to come in and didn't. I think Ghost was the one to initiate the pit stops, and then everybody behind him followed him in. And so they've got mediums to play with. And if another safety car does come out, then so do the hard runners. The medium runners, they get a second set of hards. But yeah, maybe a little bit of a strategy blunder from the top 5, top 6. I don't think Jasko Kirill came in either. With Jack Alako for that matter. So we will see how this shapes up. But I think MX, Rick, Ghost, Banter, Lawrence, Finley, they're in good positions. They're in for a good shout. But if we get another safety car, that could easily swing back the way of ET8 Chris, Robbie Pfeiffer, well, Jack Alako if his progress is good during the restart or during a potential third safety car. But this race is shaping up to be quite the interesting one here at Tier 1, and I'm glad to be bringing you all of the action. Just the one person in, a little bit quiet in the chat. If anybody is lurking in there, do come and say hello. It'd be much appreciated for a little bit of company, all on the lonesome, for this Tier 1 session. Safety cars in this lap. The lights are out on the top of that red Mercedes, so they've got to slow things down now, get themselves ready once more to restart this race once again. It'll be starting on lap 13. There will be 14 laps of racing left to go. After this point, the mediums should easily make it to the end, so the hard runners have got their work cut out. But ET8 Chris, for the second time this evening, will lead the way, waiting for Bernd Mailander to get himself back into the pit lane to get this race started. When is the Mercedes gonna punch it? He's waiting. There he goes, and he looks like he's caught Robbie Pfeiffer napping just a little bit, and then he catches back on him. He's trying to break the slipstream. There's some battling going on back here as well. They're almost 4 wide as they go through. As in this restart, there's MX sticking his nose to the inside of Robbie Pfeiffer, looking for a way through. The long way round goes the Alpha Tauri, very opportunistic, gets the move done quickly. The other Alfa Romeo, who's that? I think that was Finley, perhaps taking to the escape road and going through all of the barriers and such to the back there. I couldn't quite tell on that occasion, but MX is off the circuit. Robbie Pfeiffer, maybe a little tango with that as well. We'll have to look back on that one. I said might have been some contact between the two of them. Didn't quite see what happened, but that could be in the steward's room perhaps if it was a serious incident. But ET8 Chris so far able to open up a gap, but he's got a 5-second time penalty for cutting the chicane. Oh no, MX, sorry, 5-second time penalty for cutting the chicane and gaining a position. That might be looked at in the steward's room in all honesty, but for now it's a 5-second time penalty added to his race time at the end, or served in the pit lane if he is to come in once again. So that's not going to be looking good on his race. That's a black mark on his checkbook for MX in this race currently. What's going on a bit further down? Red Flame Joe under attack. Back to Brandon on the move. He's looking left, looking right, trying to find a way past the Williams as they go down the main straight in towards the first chicane. They're side by side now as we go. I think this is the move for Red Flame Joe. Also repping the number 97 is Jasko Kirill. So a couple of 97s being represented out there. That's very nice to see. But the move done for the Alpine. Meanwhile, Rick is attacking ET8 Chris, who's been overtaken by MX now, looking very vulnerable on those hard tyres. A dip into the gravel for Rick. I think it's rarely inevitable to be doing that on that corner. It's so easy to be pushed out wide on the exit of the Della Roggia. And Rick just needs to calm it down, get his head back in it. He's got the softer tyre, he's got the chance. And this could be a race win on the cards here for Rick. Ghost, meanwhile, big loser in this restart. He's gone down a fair few places after this, and he'll be wanting to push forward, but for once not looking like the quickest guy. But remember, he is running this race without the line, so he has no racing line on, so he's not going to be the Ghost that we know and love, but he's still going to give it a good go out there on the track to fight, and he's doing well in P7 at the moment, and it looks like he's on the hunt for the likes of Lawrence and Robbie Pfeiffer and Finley perhaps as they're going through. DRS now enabled, so that's going to make this race all the more interesting. Let's see what's going on at the front. No moves being made yet, but Robbie Pfeiffer late on the brakes, down the inside, slips underneath Lawrence, gets himself into P5. That's some progress for the Alfa Romeo, who I must say has got some decent pace on those hards, despite being jumped by the medium runners in those early restart laps. ET8 Chris fighting away with Rick as well. Rick got himself up into P2, and I think he's going to set his sights on MX, who I think will defend this staunchly, as I feel he'll be thinking that he can get that penalty removed behind the wheel of the car, especially if he feels that he had no option but to go off the circuit, especially since he didn't give the place back. But that'll be one to be mulled over in the steward's room, I think. But here comes Rick round the outside, gets the pass done. MX can't really fight it with the DRS and gets himself up into the lead of this race. Rick looking on good form for the time being. as he's now the leader of this race. We've had 3 different leaders, I think, of this Grand Prix so far. We've had Lifeboat, we've had ET8 Chris, and now we have the Dutchman Rick, who is in. Lifeboat, of course, crashed to bring out the second safety car. Daphne Hill has crashed in the early laps, bringing out the first. And the fastest lap for Rick is looking very put together behind that Aston Martin. But here comes MX once again. Down the inside, is it 2x2 as they go through? Not quite, but MX brakes late. Goes deep into turn 1. That could compromise his exit here. Rick looks a little bit shaky on the exit, and he has to sit behind. That might compromise him to ET8 Chris, who might look to go for a move as they go. But Rick's sitting in the draft of the AlphaTauri, looking for a way to get past. I don't think he's going to be able to draw close enough through the Della Roggia, so sits behind, holds station for the time being, and doesn't quite go through. He's on the defensive though. He's looking in his mirrors at the moment, Rick. He's got ET8 Chris just behind him, who's definitely not out of this race. He's fighting well on those hards, and when those mediums start to go off toward the end of the race, he could come back into this. But the DRS is going to help Rick defend from that Mercedes, who looks like he's got some great pace. Draws out to the inside, looking for a move as ET8 Chris doesn't quite go for it. Goes past Lawrence meanwhile. Looks like he got it done just onto the entry of the Ascari chicane. Time penalties being dished out left, right and centre now for track limits. Finley's got himself a track limits penalty. I think he ran wide on the exit of Ascari, and that looks like Ghost's next victim as they come through the Parabolica. Let's see as they go. Look at how much closing speed Ghost has. He's using that ERS, it seems, and he's drawing in. He's got much more to play with. He's not going to go too aggressive, but he might send a move to the inside maybe. Thinks better of it. Just brakes and sits behind. He's a very patient driver, as Ghost. He's won many a championship here in APPF1, and I'm sure in other leagues as well. He knows what he's doing out there. He's fast, and he's so patient. Knows exactly when to strike and when not to waste his time fighting. But meanwhile, Robbie Pfeiffer and Finley are fighting. That'll be music to the ears of Ghost, who gains himself a position after Finley dips a wheel on the gravel. He might feel a little bit accosted, perhaps, by Robbie Pfeiffer, who ran him out wide. But again, so easily done on the exit of the Della Roggia. There's not a lot of space on the outside. Ghost promoted up into P5 now. He'll be chasing up, and MX stands to lose a large portion of positions, and he loses one to Rick in the meantime, as Rick once again takes the lead of this race. And actually MX makes up your 4th race leader, as he's also led the race for at least a couple laps or part of the race as well, and he's just sitting behind. MX no slouch again. None of these drivers are, in fact. They're all fantastic in their own right, all know how to wrangle a Formula 1 car around a circuit as quickly as they possibly can, and doing an incredible job. But we have got so many cars in it. 4 cars all close together. They're going to be 3 wide going down now. ET8 Chris feels this is his moment to strike. I think MX has the advantage on the 2 of them though, with the middle of the track to his disposal. Gets himself in the lead, and it's 3 wide as they exit now. It's turn number 2 as they go. It's Rick, ET8 Chris and Robbie Pfeiffer going through, and I think ET8 Chris just manages to eke ahead, and Rick on the outside of the Curva Grande now in a bit of a vulnerable position as they come down to the Della Roggia. There's so much action going on. Any contact between these drivers could be fatal as they're fighting through this field, but they continue to keep it nice and respectful out there on the track. Rick keeps P2 for the time being, sees off ET8 Chris's advances, and Robbie Pfeiffer too. Ghost is just patiently waiting for his moment to strike at these drivers ahead. Ghost has got a fair amount of ERS to use, but so does MX, and so does the likes of ET8 Chris as well. Rick again, it looks like a happy hunting ground for him into the Ascari as they go through, and is fighting very well for this race win. He'll be hoping that the spin that he had in qualifying at the Parabolica is far behind him, because he won't want to drop it at this part of the race, because if he does that, he'll be feeling very silly with himself. But this is some fantastic battling up and down the grid, and there's plenty more of it going on. It's Rick, then MX, then ET8 Chris, Robbie Pfeiffer, Ghost, Lawrence, Finley, Banter, Brandon, all within a second of one another, all close together. Finley goes down the inside of Lawrence now, no way through, looks to go underneath, goes for the up and under on that move. No doing for Finley, no progress for the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, Rick very close to the back of MX again. Jack Alaco fighting his way with Red Flame Joe. MX down a place now as Rick snatches the lead once more, although a little bit shaky through the De La Roggia. That's going to invite a move down the inside for MX. These two fighting very, very well with one another, and perhaps the reason that all these drivers are so close. Lascal Kirill now gets himself involved in all this fighting, just joining onto the back. There are 9 cars all brawling for the lead of this race. What a race to come back into the commentary box for, as Rick looks once again to the inside. MX is going to fight this one if he can. Doesn't quite have the grip to do it, I think, or the run through the corner. ET8 Chris looking to go on the attack. Robbie Pfeiffer drawing level with the Alfa Romeo, with the Mercedes, sorry, as they're going through. They're all scrapping. I'm so surprised there's been no contact between these drivers, but Robbie Pfeiffer now takes P3. Meanwhile, Banter Brandon ahead of Fidley. There's so many heavy hitters here in Tier 1, all fighting amongst each other. APPF1 better than real F1 as they go 4 wide down the main straight. And the ETA Chris ekes ahead. Contact now between the Alfa Romeo and the AlphaTauri of MX and Robbie Pfeiffer. And they're wheel banging still. Don't let ETA Chris run away with this. It's a yellow flag. That's Lawrence cutting across the escape road as he's got a straight on at the chicane. My voice is going to be absolutely shot after this race. I can tell you now, there's so much action on this circuit and it's absolutely fantastic to watch. And there's still plenty more laps, but it looks like the two hard runners, after fighting hard, fighting tooth and nail for these positions, have got themselves back in the positions they started this session on, and are fending off these medium runners who perhaps have maybe overworked the tyres a little bit and starting to fall behind the hard compound runners, who have now got themselves a bit of breathing room. It's 1.3 seconds the gap between Robbie Pfeiffer and MX now. It's all calmed down a little bit, but there's MX. He's still fighting away with Ghost. Well, not with Ghost, with Rick, but Ghost is there lurking in the background, but he's got Banter Brandon now to deal with, his teammate from last season. And Ghost now looking to go on the attack. He's looking to go after MX. Doesn't know where to go. They're 3 wide once again as they go down into turn number 1. And Rick loses out to Ghost and Banter Brandon. Somebody's locked up in that kerfuffle as well. And it looks like Finley's going to get the better of Rick. Rick losing about 3 positions in 2 corners. Not the best look for the Dutchman. And he's been fighting so incredibly well for his positions as well. A little bit shaky from Ghost there. Maybe the no line getting the better of him, but he's shaping himself up for a potential podium here if that penalty doesn't get removed for MX after the race. And he's fought so valiantly as well and been patient with all of this. There's been so much action and carnage going on, and he's just picking his way through it one by one. Ever so patient is Ghost, and I think he might know that MX might be getting that penalty removed. He might have a ear to the ground. He might be listening in on the stream perhaps, and or he might just have the sense and saw what happened out there. Let's see, there's stuff going on in the live chat, but I can't see it. Let me reload my stream just so I can see what you guys are saying in the chat, because I don't want to miss out on it at all. Hello Palang. Yes, Rick from 1 to 7 in 2 laps indeed. Here we go then, we're going through. They're still scrapping along this main straight. MX fighting to keep this position. It may be something that might prove to be fruitless, especially if he does keep that penalty, but for now he's just trying to make it as hard as possible for these drivers, I think, as he's going along. Here comes Ghost though. He wants that position, looks to the outside of the De La Roggia, thinks better of it. Doesn't quite have the car drawn alongside enough. Who's that cutting across the circuit? I think that was Finley perhaps cutting across. He's done that a couple times now, but let's see. Palang says he remembered 4 full safety cars in the Elite once. Damn. Yeah, Rick, not the best couple of laps for him though, but I'm sure he'll fight to the bitter end for this, as will all of these drivers in fact. It's all aboard that MX train now. MX holding them off brilliantly. He's shown some great defensive driving. Knows how to fight, does MX, even if he does push the limits of what is acceptable out there on the track, if I do say so myself. But Ghost He'll be savvy to that. He'll be patient. He's happy to sit behind and wait. He's going to go for this though if he gets the opportunity. And he's closing now. Draws alongside the AlphaTauri. Their line astern going through the main straight. Banter Brandon might look at this as an opportunistic overtake. And he might, but MX just breaks that a little bit later to fend him off. Rick looks to the inside. He has nowhere to go though. And the two, Banter Brandon and Finley were both fighting with each other there as well. But Ghost up into the podium places now. And he'll look to try and not look back now and go forward. Hello Marcus plays in the YouTube chat. It is some fantastic stuff. And if you've just joined on, we've got about 4 or 5 laps to go as that looks like Lawrence off the circuit. He had a little bit of a tango with Rick, I think, and was sent into the gravel trap at the Della Roggia. Not the way he was race would have wanted to conclude. I know. Big O in the chat from Marcus out there. Wow. And here comes MX once more. Looking to the inside, he's got the ERS, he's got the DRS as well, and he gets that position back. I definitely think he's going to try and get that penalty removed, in all honesty. Lawrence with a 3-second time penalty. Let's take a look at your penalty situation at the moment. Well, we've got the briefest of minutes. I'll pop it up on the screen. I'll talk through it because they're fighting once again through the parabolica this time. I think there was 6 cars, all 2 by 2 as they went through. They're all so close together. Rick could be a big winner in all of this as well as they go through. But they're going down the main straight now. Rick out of the slipstream on this. Is it going to be free ride again? Banter's got nowhere to go. Rick and MX fighting now. Finley's snuck his way in towards P number 4 and is going to go on the attack for Ghost. MX dropping places. Oh, and MX and Banter have come together. MX into the wall. He's lost his wing. So has Banter as well. Safety car. There's going to be a safety car. Everyone's going to perhaps chuck on some soft tyres. Or perhaps no one's going to come in at all. But we've got, the safety car will come in on lap 26 no matter what. So we've got at least 2 laps now of a sprint to the finish, and this is just going to add some more drama and jeopardy to this evening of racing, which has already been full of it. It really is going to shake things up. Who's going to come in? I'm going to skip all the way to ETA Chris at the front. I'll quickly run you through penalties as well before they all dive into the pits potentially. It's 3 seconds for Finley, 3 for Yasko, Kirill, Red Flame Joe on 3 seconds as well as Banter Brandon. It's 8 seconds for MX, so he's got some track limits violations as well. And Lawrence with 9 seconds. I think the stewards are going to be quite busy, so I hope you're ready for that one, LB. That'll be me and you, mate, as we go through on that. But here we go, ETA Chris in. I think this might spark everybody else to come in as well. Yeah, in. Ghost stays out. Ghost is staying out. This could be a win. This could be a smart play from Ghost. Who else is going to stay out? Rick stays out too. As does Jackalacco, who could get himself a podium. Red Flame Joe stays out. 2 Williams and 2 Aston Martins stay out and are not coming in for a pit stop. It almost looks like it's going to rain out there, you know. Look how overcast it's become over the progress of the race. Almost looks like rain's on the cards. MX with a ring change. Banter with a ring change as well. Come out. Alex G will get himself back in the mix too. Who will have the strategy right? Yeah. You know what? I think Ghost has a very good shot at this. They've got 1 lap, so they've got a lap and a half now to close up the field. The safety car will announce that it's coming in as they come through into Ascari. On lap 26, no matter what, you get 2 laps of racing. Actually, no, will it be this lap? 26, yeah, it'll be this lap. Safety car will be in this lap. Because you'll have lap 26. Yeah, it's going to come in, lights are off. So the likes of, I think anybody behind Banter perhaps isn't going to come into this. So actually, it's going to be hard to tell. But ETA Chris and Robbie Pfeiffer will have to get themselves past Red Flame Joe, Jackalacca and Rick, who are going to fight this to the bitter end. Red Flame's got a penalty though, so that'll be an easy one. And Ghost could be in this. This is his chance for a win on his first race back with no line as well. So what a feat. E-Tech Chris is going to have to be super, super aggressive if he wants to get back in time. He does. Here we go. His Ghost gone. He's punched it, and he's got Rick for company already. These guys should not fight too much if they want to keep this. They've got those soft runners to think about. They're shuffling behind are the soft compound runners. ET8 Chris coming through. Lawrence as well. There's a lot of contact perhaps going on. Lawrence is down the order. I think ET8 Chris has managed to survive all of that chaos, but Rick is in the lead of this race once again. This could be an Aston Martin double podium as Jack Alacco now jumps Ghost, and they're now 1-2 as they go through. They've got about a lap and a half of this race left. ET8 Chris on the aggressive attack gets ahead of Ghost immediately. I think Ghost got that all wrong with the strategy, in all honesty. With those 2 laps to go, he may as well have come in. He had nothing to lose on that one, but he gave it a good go anyway. But anyway, ET8 Chris fighting along with Jack Alacco. Back into the P2, perhaps. Is Jacko going to fight this into the Scari? No. So it's going to be a straight out fight for 1 lap. Rick versus ET8 Chris. And Rick will fight this to the bitter end. Remember in Japan when he was on old, like 15, 17 lap old hard tyres, and he fought off all of those on the harder compounded tyre? Is he, well, the softer compounded tyre perhaps? Is he going to do it again? Here comes ET8 Chris, says Marcus. Here he comes. He's closing in. He's going to have much superior grip. He's going to have no DRS though, so it's going to have to be done on merit. Rick's going to defend the inside, which should become the outside. Then ET8 Chris switches back as Rick goes onto the racing line, and it's no doing. ET8 Chris through, goes deep though perhaps. Rick might have another chance at this. Might have a run at him. Jack Alacco fighting with the likes of Finley, who's now back onto the podium, but he's got a time penalty. And now Banter Brandon and Jacko are going wheel to wheel as well. There's so many cars so close together as well. What a finish. This is a grandstand finish, of course, as we go through. ET8 Chris, I think he's got this wrapped up and in the bag. I don't think Rick's got anything left in him to go through. There's so much fighting. Ghost has dropped all the way back. A huge mistake, a huge blunder from Ghost. Should have gone onto those soft compounded tyres for the end of the race, but I understand where he's coming from. He just wanted to go for it, did Ghost, and I don't blame him whatsoever. He'll gain some places after the penalties here though, I think, so he'll at least have P4, if anything, as he goes through. Jack Alacco's in a moment. Oh, he's gone round as the Scotsman. No, Jacko, he gave it everything, but those old hearts had nothing left in him. But ET8 Chris, he has fought so hard for this. It's been a spectacular race, and he's going to cross the line to win the second race of APPF1 Tier 1. It's free. Why does he come across the line? Who's got it? I think Rick in P2 just about with the penalties as they go through. What a finish for those 3. But wow, what a race we've had here this evening. There's going to be so many moments of this going on my next commentary show reel, I can tell you that for nothing. Well, at least it's going to be a struggle to pick, but this one has been an absolute barnstormer. What a drive from ET8. What a drive. Not only in the final laps though, Marcus, he fought so hard with those medium runners after that second safety car. Oh my word. There he is, standing on top of the podium, taking the top step. Well fought victory for ET8 Chris. What a spectacular evening of racing. Flanked on the podium, of course, by Finley and Rick as well, who both deserve to be there. That was a fun and grueling race where everybody was on the limit, fighting as hard as they could. Elbows were most certainly out. And look at them celebrating. I'm sure they're all taking a breather after that one, because wow, even I'm tired after that. There you go then. We'll run you through your finishing order. It's going to be ET8 Chris who takes the win after his teammate crashed out in the first half of the race. Rick and Finley will flank him on the podium after fighting very hard all throughout the race. Banter Brandon gets himself into P4. Then Yasko Kirill gets himself into P5. JBS Steve from P14 to P6. That's driver of the day. I'll take it any day of the week. But any of them could be driver of the day this evening. But JB, well done. Womax P7. Then there's GG Ghost P8 after perhaps making a wrong call on the strategy. Then there's Alex G and MX rounding off your top 10. Then there's Jacko, Red Flame, Joe and Lawrence and Robbie Pfeiffer rounding off the grid with Lifebound and Daphne Hillis crashing out from the race. Wow. There you go. There you go. I think if I'm here more often for Tier 1, I might have to start doing interviews, you know, because that'll be some good bit of it. But because I haven't said that to any of the drivers, I'll miss that out for tonight. And if I'm here next week, I'll do that again. Wow, what a great race. Well done to all the drivers. A big pat on the back to everybody. Not only did you put on a spectacular race, but you kept it as clean as you possibly could. And there was very little drama to be had as well. That right there, folks, is what APPF1 is all about. That is why we all started this league. That is why we are all here. And that is what we want to promote out there. So if you know anybody who wants to come in and get on this action, share it out. Now, get them in the Discord, get them in here racing, because that's what we want every single week, folks. That is what we want out here. That's what I want to see. That's what we all want to see. That's what we all want to experience. But I'll stop going on now. Next week, then, we will take a quick look. Where are we going next week on the calendar before we go? And, of course, don't forget about not only do we have next week to think about, but we've got Sprint on... Not Sprint, although it would be nice to see Sprint come back. We have Elite on Sunday, who will be taking you to the Monza circuit, of course. And then Tier 2, where a familiar face might be behind the wheel of a certain Mercedes. So get yourself in there to see what the progress is on that. I'll have to start practicing, in all honesty. I'm in the wrong chat. Where am I looking? Calendar, here we are, Tier 1 calendar, as we go to Jeddah for round 3 next week. Then hopefully I'll be here. If not, I'm hoping somebody will be here to cover this fantastic action. But well done to ET8 Chris and the drivers on the podium. Well done to all of the drivers as well. Where can one join the Discord, Marcus? You know what, I will send you a invite link, mate. I'll get you on there. We are just PS4 for the time being, but you can at least get yourself in there for when we hopefully go over to crossplay when it's more stable. But anyway, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to go get myself a cup of tea, rest my voice, because I've been speaking for the last hour or so, and non-stop speaking for that matter. But join us next week, of course. Join us throughout the week for more racing as well. But for now, I have been Sumo, and we shall see you next time for some more racing action with the APPF1 community. Good night.